There's a ton of history in Illinois, no question about it, and a ton of history buffs in Illinois, especially when it comes around the rise of Abraham Lincoln in politics and the 16th president saying farewell to Springfield and hightailing it over to Washington, D.C. to then be president during Civil War and all that fallout thereafter and the assassination of Lincoln and so on. But Springfield has a good chunk of history, and it's not just downtown. You've got surrounding areas, including outside Petersburg, Illinois, which is just northwest of Springfield, and it has Lincoln's New Salem. It's a pretty historic place where Lincoln, he failed at having a general store, but still very vibrant community back then, and a recreation of sorts with at least one original building, but tons of others that have been recreated over the decades, even back to the 1940s or so. It's still there, but it's falling apart, man. Some legislators looking for more state tax dollars to bring about some rehabilitation for that historic Lincoln's New Salem outside Petersburg. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Of course, the budget for the state of Illinois for the coming fiscal year starts July 1st. We'll be watching how they put that budget together. Tons of priorities. They got to pay for schools. They got to pay for pensions. They got to pay for general services. They got to pay for the governor's priorities of Smart Start and early childhood education. They got to pay for, the potential of developing, affordable housing. They've got to pay for a whole host of things. Did I mention pensions? So obviously, the budget's been proposed. It's the largest state budget in state history. It's going to be just under $55 billion of your tax dollars going to pay for these things. But there's tons of priorities. And also capital spending, meaning construction and money to go towards deferred maintenance or towards new projects. And there's going to be a lot of legislators from across the state looking to get $100,000 here for a community project or several million there for an infrastructure project. And those are these projects all across the state that legislators are going to try to get into the budget. Well, here in Springfield, there's several legislators and an organization that's working to bring about more money for Lincoln's New Salem. So again, if you go to thecentersquare.com, you'll find this story. You can watch along and look at the pictures. Illinois legislators tour embarrassing disrepair of historic Lincoln's New Salem. So we were able to take a tour yesterday, and I tell you what, it was something else. I remember going not too long ago, and we went during some nighttime hours, which is pretty cool because everything's candle lit, and you've got reenactors walking around and hot cider, and they're demonstrating various different types of blacksmith or how they worked with fabrics back in the day in Lincoln's time in the 1830s and beyond. But the disrepair that is happening at Lincoln's New Salem has people pretty upset that it's gotten to this point. I mean, for instance, there's a pedestrian walkway from Lincoln's New Salem downtown area to this mill, and it's disconnected from the concrete pad. You could see sunlight through that, and just the level of the level of disrepair has people on edge and thinking to themselves of the lack of focus on maintenance. You got to consider this is just one state historic site. This is a state historic site. This is not a site run by the federal government like Lincoln's home in downtown Springfield is. It's a very well kept. That whole area in downtown Springfield, where U.S. Senator Dick Durbin has an office as well. It's like catty corner from Lincoln's home. It's well maintained. It's upkept. It's well staffed. Lincoln's New Salem, though, as legislators said, was really falling apart, and the lack of focus and funding and manpower there has just diminished considerably. But there's also private groups out there that are working to raise awareness here. You've got New Salem Lincoln League Board President Gina Gilmore Walter. She joined State Senator Steve McClure and State Representative Wayne Rosenthal at Lincoln's New Salem with a ton of media there to explain what they gave a tour about.
Our first stop was the grist mill. We saw the drive shaft that It was down in the weeds. It's been there since the flood of 2016. I believe the deterioration of the building at that time led to that happening. Otherwise, it probably would have survived that flood. In addition, it's blocked off. There's boards across the entrance ramp because, as you saw, the wooden ramp has holes in the floor. You wouldn't want anyone risking walking on that and possibly falling through. The overhead bridge, the walk bridge, it's been blocked off for several years now. They've taken the stairs out that did approach that walkover, that bridge, and they've replaced it with maybe a third of the stairs down the hillside. It's in very bad shape. It probably should have a debris net under it, honestly. There are boards missing that have fallen down on the highway below it. Some of the steel girders don't even touch the concrete pads that support it. They've shoved 2x4 shims in there, which are rotting and falling out. And then when we made our way up to the village, you saw the carding mill, the bale carding mill, where they would card the wool. The roof above that, a big section of that has caved in and due to rot, and it's not going to get better.
So again, a lot of demonstration yesterday in front of media where things were falling apart. And Gina said that she'd actually been out there Thursday, and there was a bunch of debris around one of the mills, like down on the ground and on some of the equipment inside the mill. And she said that was Thursday when they saw all that debris. It was almost like fresh debris that had come down. And then when we were there yesterday, we didn't see that debris. We actually saw some tire tracks leading to where she said, well, there was debris. So some people apparently are taking note that they're putting a spotlight on this. And they're looking for up to $19 million. $19 million. State Senator Steve McClure, he originally filed a bill to have $5 million for Lincoln's New Salem. But now he says that the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, which operates these Illinois State Historic Sites, says it's going to cost $19 million. He wasn't sure where they got that figure, but he says that he needs to also create a commission for Lincoln's New Salem so they can go line by line and take a look at what's the real cost going to be to maintain what is obviously falling apart. And you can see part of a barn that is literally just the overhangs are completely collapsed behind State Senator Steve McClure here.
We asked for $5 million initially. DNR says it's $19 million. I suspect that the truth is somewhere in between. But that's, again, it goes to the issue that we have when we're trying to figure out how much money to put in capital bills. We don't know the exact amount at this moment. And that's why the commission is so important. So
he wants to form a commission. He wants to ensure that they understand the full costs to taxpayers. And this is just one state historic site. There are state historic sites across the state that DNR maintains. And how are they looking? How do you balance these priorities, right? And it's not just the tax dollars going towards state historic sites for basic maintenance and upkeep and to address deferred maintenance, but you've also got, again, capital projects from legislators all over, grants towards organizations, money for infrastructure, whatever it may be. A lot of these projects are going to be people clawing for tax dollars. But McClure says that they need to address the disrepair at Lincoln's New Salem and anywhere else there's continued disrepair. And you got to think $55 billion is what's being proposed here. How come they can't get $20 million for the state's historic sites?
Either spend less money now or spend much more money later. And by the way, if we wait till later, it's going to continue to embarrass our state when tourists come here from all over the world to see these sites.
Now, Lincoln's New Salem, again, has all kinds of field trips that people go to, and you can go to it during the day. Certain times of the year, they have nighttime events. It's pretty neat. You can see how people lived in the 1830s and 1840s. It's a state historic site, right? Lincoln's New Salem. But the disrepair there has people on edge that this is just another symptom of government spending out of control elsewhere, edging out and crowding out the necessary spending that's needed for basic upkeep. So all of this obviously is going to be worked into the equation to get to that final budgetary number of what, $54.3 billion or something. A lot of money involved, and we'll be watching closely to see how they put that all together. And of course, you can watch live with us each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and get the podcast where you get podcasts, but also don't forget to get the headlines in your inbox at the Center Square, Illinois. All right, make it happen.